But this backdrop though, so pretty.
These bitches want more. I use ABH when it's time to contour. I heard that the new Cali palettes are trash. BH cosmetics are cheap, but they last. I primer my eyes, now my shit's gonna be fleet. I cut these hoes off, I call that a crease. Hey, I cut these hoes off, I call that a crease.
Well, hello YouTube. It is it's 1:20 a.m. 1:21 a.m. and I had to make sure that I got today's Makeup for Dummies recorded. It is Sunday, August 5th. And it's Monday, August 6th. But I had to make sure because I missed last week's Makeup for Dummies. Working like I'm just working now, getting ready for a little like pop-up shop type situation this coming weekend. But I have to stay true to my word. I try as best I can. So, we're up late. We've recorded it. Today we will be getting into cut creases, glitter cut crease. So working with glitter and just, you know, how to do a real cut crease, not a soft cut crease where you can just like put the shadow on top of the other shadows that you've already put into your crease. We're going to actually get into like what brush to use, hand placement, pressure, products to be able to get a clean, crisp cut crease like we got going on today. And then we're going to get into glitter, glitter adhesives, brushes to use, glitters to use, and all that jazz to get you a more detailed, a little more razzle-dazzle on your eye. Like my razzle-dazzle background. So, we're going to get into that, and then I will be recording today, probably while this is, well, you guys are watching this Monday night. I will be recording tomorrow's because I said, since I didn't get last week's up, I was going to give you back-to-back Makeup for Dummies. We're going to do cut crease, glitter cut crease tonight, and then tomorrow we'll be doing halo and whatever else I can think of that's like a little more intricate as far as eyeshadow goes and stuff like that. So I'll probably be recording that as you're watching this one. So I'm so sorry that I missed last week. Thank you for being so patient with me. I really hope you guys are enjoying the Makeup for Dummies series. They are fun to make, and I'm glad that you guys are learning from it. I hope, you know, you get some more tips and tricks and things like that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this cut crease, glitter cut crease Makeup for Dummies episode. What is this, like 5? Is this episode 5? I think it's episode 5. Intermediate Eyes, part 1. So, per usual, working on the eyes, I'm going to bring you in closer so you can get all up in my grill. Don't mind that little pimple, you know, I was digging in it, you know, trying to make it go away. But anyway, so we're going to start with our base, and today I'll be using the P. Louise eyeshadow base and a flat synthetic brush. This is the Morphe M167. P. Louise suggests using the MAC 252. My stores didn't have that, but you need a flat synthetic brush. And the thing with the P. Louise shadow base is you just pat it on the eye. You don't drag it or sweep it across. That's how you get your pigments to pop. Another more affordable way to get a shadow base is, like I said in the week before last episode, is a concealer. You can also use a concealer. Sometimes leaving it, having it wet makes the shadow stick better, and really just depends on the shadow, and sometimes setting it with the powder will help it glide over the eye better. So with this P. Louise base, it's just like an eyeshadow magnet, so I just pack it all over the lid, and then I'm going to blend out the edges with my finger, just so that when I put the shadows down, it's not a stiff line, because this is the perfect shadow primer to cut creases, because it literally attracts the pigments in the shadow and puts it exactly wherever you lay this base. So I'm just patting out the edges so that my edges are more soft and not as harsh. And then I'm going to be taking my first shadow on a blending brush. And the first blending brush I will be using is by BH Cosmetics. And I'll also be using a BH Cosmetics shadow palette. This is the Take Me Back to Brazil palette. And it's just very bright colors. And I opted to use brights to demonstrate cut creases just so you can see the transition better. And it's not, you know, a neutral look, so you can see what I'm talking about when I'm blending shadows and placing them down. So this is the BH Cosmetics Studio Pro number 5 brush, and it's a densely packed blending brush, like a tapered blending brush, and it's really going to pack that shadow onto your eye. So I'm just going to coat my brush with this first shadow, which is a yellow that I'll be taking. I'm going to place that all in the crease, and like I said last week, we're going to do that patting motion, so we're going to pack the color on first, and then we'll go into circular and windshield wiping motions to blend it out. And I'm just going to basically do like a little refresher with the blending. I'm speeding past this portion because we did do it last week, but I'm just continuing to pack on that shadow until it's as pigmented as I like. The next brush I will be using is a 929 brush, and I'll be using this orange shade from the Morphe 3502 palette on a bullet brush from my 929 brush 15-piece brush set collection. And I'm just going to pack that shadow right underneath the yellow. You can see I'm just using the dabbing motion, and then I kind of use little swirling motions, and then I go back in with my first brush to blend them both together. But first, I do want to pack it on so it can be as orange as I like, because when you get to blending, that's when your colors start to fade or really just blend into one another and you may lose one. So that is why shadow takes so long to do, because you have to keep going back and forth to reapply the shadows, get them back pigmented how you like, but still making sure that your colors are blended together. As you can see, this is kind of meshing the orange and the yellow together, so it's going into a gradient effect. You can see when I first placed down the orange shade, it was really harsh right on top of the yellow, and now I'm using that yellow brush that I started with. I didn't put any more yellow shadow on the brush. I just picked it up and started blending the two shades together. So we're going to do this step one more time with one more color in the crease before we get to actually cutting the crease. And right here, like it looks different in real life than it does on camera. Sometimes it looks faded on camera, so I have to go back a couple more times to get the color how I like. I did go back in with the orange and yellow 2 more times before I placed on this bright red color. And I'm just using a really small detailing brush to get that right into my crease area. And then I will be using the orange brush that I placed the orange shadow down with to blend the red and the orange together. So we're having a gradient from red, orange, yellow, and then we will be cutting the crease. And I'm just taking that all the way across the crease. And how I learn my placement is I take my color up as high to the brow bone without like making my under eye highlight where I carved out my brow disappear. And then I just go a step under that with my next shade. And then as you can see, I'm pretty much directly in the crease with this final crease color shade I'm using. I just want to make sure it's as pigmented as I like. And then again, like I said, we'll take that orange brush. As you can see, we're kind of losing the orange. So I'm going to go back in with that after I blend the red in some. And then I'll probably go back in with the yellow. And then I go back in one more time with the red before we cut. Just takes a lot of time doing shadow, especially when you get into intricate looks, because you want to be able to see all the colors that you used. So this is our eye pre-cut crease. You can see the shadows kind of blend together. And so now to cut the crease, I'll be using the brush that I use to cut my brows, to carve out my brows. It's a very thin, rounded shadow brush. This just really fits nicely into the eye socket. I would suggest using rounded brushes when you're cutting creases. I would say start small and then work your way up, because the smaller the brush you use, the less area you're covering. And where this arrow is, that's about how high I'm going to cut my crease. And that's how I try to make my eyes even, because they are two different shapes. But the lines in my lid kind of match up, so I can it's easier for me to tell if they're even. But like I was saying, with practicing cut creases, I would say start with smaller brushes first. You can even use like a lip brush, a rounded lip brush. So you're not using as much space, putting product down on too much space, until you can really get a feel for your eye and cutting it, making it even. As you can see here, I'm going really, really slow, just taking my time and kind of pressing the product down and then dragging it over to make the line more smooth. I just want to make sure that my cut crease is around like half moon shape. It's even on either side of my lid and even on both eyes. So when you're using a smaller brush, you put product down on less area. So it's going to take you a little bit longer to get across, but you'll make fewer mistakes. If you were to use a larger brush when you haven't, necessarily practiced doing a cut crease, you may not angle your brush the correct way. So then you're going to lay down concealer wherever you're trying to cut your crease, and that just makes you have to bring your crease up higher and higher and higher. This line in my eye helps me to cut my crease, because it's also where my kind of semi-hoodedness of the eye folds back in. So even when my eye is open, you can still see the cut crease. So you want to make sure you're doing that when you're cutting a crease as well. You want to see it both when your eyes are opened and closed. And as you can see, even though I've cut the crease, you can still see that red shade. And that's what we want. So now that I've cut it all, I'm going to take this flat shadow brush. Another rounded shadow brush is a little bit fatter than the one we used to actually cut the crease. And you're just going to do like normal and place the shadow all over the lid. Because it's rounded, again, it fits nicely into the eye. It's not too big, so you can cover up a larger area of the eye. It takes you a little bit less time, but again, you won't make mistakes, and you can get right up close to where you actually cut your crease, and that's where the detail portion comes in. The differentiation in between your crease color and where you actually cut your crease, being able to get right up next to that cut area is why the look looks so precise. And especially using two contrasting colors like this, red and yellow, you can really see the difference. And it's also, you can really see the difference if I was to make a mistake, which it's not the perfect crescent moon, but when I open my eye, it looks fine. So that's that. And that's really all it is to a cut crease. At this point, you will finish, putting on your shadow, do a little liner, put on some lashes, and then do your normal face routine. It's perfectly fine. Doing cut creases too, you have to pack on color so you can see that fallout under my eye. I would always suggest doing intricate eyes before you do your foundation or complexion, because any shadow will fall and settle into your foundation, which can discolor it. So I always do my eyes before I do anything with the complexion, especially working with glitter, which is what we'll be moving on to now. So this is a pretty good glitter primer, the NYX glitter primer. My favorite is actually Too Faced. Of course, it's a more expensive product. It is a higher end brand, and the glitter pigment that I'll be using today is from my brand 929 Beauty, and I'm using the shade Flexin as the initial glitter color. So I'm using this 929 flat concealer brush to pick up some of that NYX glitter primer, and I'm just pressing it on the eye, and then I'm going to use that same brush and pick up some glitter and press it over the area where I laid down the glitter primer. Whenever you're putting on glitter, you want to make sure you do it in sections because your adhesive will dry. And if you just keep layering that up, that's going to mess up your eyeshadow underneath. Your glitter is not going to stick to it. It's going to transfer all over your eye. So just make sure you do it in sections, and really the same way you put on the shadow, just follow that cut crease area. If you're working with bigger pigments, I would suggest putting down your liner like I did first, because you don't want your liner to look bumpy trying to glide it over glitter. So I just put my liner on first, and then I go ahead and put on the glitter. Smaller glitter is, yes, it's going to still be shiny and look pretty, but if you really want to catch the light and have your eyes just really shimmering, chunky glitters are going to be your way to go, which is what I'm going to put on top of this. I'll be using my glitter, my chunky glitter in Foreign, to go over this super fine glitter. And right here I'm just using a straight, clean, flat brush to kind of kick off glitter that got onto my liner. There was no adhesive on this area, so it's easy to just kick it off. So there I was just putting on a little bit more glitter primer, and now I'm putting on that chunky glitter. As you can see, it reflects brighter because it's able to catch the light more. There's several different types of glitter, super fine and chunky. Super fine is like usually like 0.006, and then chunky is 0.008, a little bigger, and of course it catches the light better. So at this point, you just finish your complexion routine, slap on some lashes, and you're done. Alright guys, so that was today's lesson. Did we like it? How do we feel about it? Let me know in the comments, because I only want to create content that you guys are enjoying. If there was anything that I did not touch on in this video for this particular eye technique, just let me know and we can get more into it. Or I can just answer your question in the comment, however you want me to do it. We go live on Instagram, we do stuff on Snapchat. Just tell me where you want it and I'm going to get it done for you. But yeah, that's going to wrap up today's episode. I think it's 5. I'm pretty sure it's 5. That wraps up today's episode of Makeup for Dummies. I thank you so much for coming back to my channel. If you haven't already, I should always say this in the beginning. I always forget to say it in the beginning because I be caring, but I don't be caring. I just want y'all to enjoy the content. But subscribe. We need that. And thumbs it up. We need that too. We're just trying to keep the family growing and going. Just growing and going. Okay, but yeah, so make sure you smash that subscribe button. Drop a comment down below how we felt about tonight's episode. All right, focus. how we felt about tonight's episode. Give me a thumbs up, and I will see y'all in my next video. Stay true. So pretty. So pretty. So pretty. Y'all don't have like they have many MUA copper eye nude lip, because I can never get away from a nude lip. Every time I try to put some color on, I be like, nope. It ruins the whole entire look for me. I just can't. I can't do it. We just want a poppin' ass eye and a nude lip. I think I'm gonna be Chieftain poppin' eye nude lip. Okay, bye.
I pull up to Ulta, I'm bad as the bands. Been blending so much, I got clumps in my hands. As real as it gets, but these lashes are fake. I love their products, but I'm never too-faced. I love their products, but I'm never too-faced.